Safe22hikes.com.
Ready to go. Here we go.
Stay tuned now for the Racing for Heroes radio show with host Brett Morash on 1460 WVOX.
Hey, Racing for Heroes fans, it is 2022, and today is January 7th, our first show of the new year. We are so excited. We have some great guests today, hitting off the new year great. As many of you remember, we took about a month break. We had our charity laps event out at Virginia International Raceway. Again, it was fantastic. Just so glad we made a lot of money for the nonprofit to continue to help veterans. And I would ask everyone out there to go take a look at our website, www.racingforheroes.org. With that, we have our first guest, John Moser, who is affiliated with Save22, an organization that is making a difference in the world, saving veterans. John, are you on the line, man?
I'm here, Brett. I'm here, man. Hey, congratulations on everything you guys did down at BIR last month, man. Awesome deal.
Oh, it was great. I was telling our sound engineer, Alex, that I had a chance to drive in a Cadillac at 145 miles per hour. It was unbelievable, man, how fast that car can go.
I want to know what that sight feels like coming underneath the bridge, coming in at 150 miles an hour.
It was cooking. Well, this was at on the back straightaway when you kind of go up the hill and before you come back down. And Colin Garrett, who's been on the show before, and is a NASCAR driver. He was driving, so it was not yours truly driving. In fact, this morning we have like about 8 inches of snow here in New Rochelle, and I wimped out and took my wife's Land Cruiser instead of my 4Runner today. But hey, listen, I had two choices on how to get here nice and safe. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's talk about what you're doing, John. So you're a veteran, right?
Yep. Retired Air Force, 23 years. 23
years. And what did you do in the Air Force?
So I was an electronic warfare specialist for the first 9.5 on active duty from 90 to 99. Worked on all kinds of stuff from F4G Wild Weasels, A-10s, a little bit of pods, and then I went to AWACS in Oklahoma. Got out off of that.
It's a Tinker Air Force Base?
Tinker Air Force Base, yep.
Yep.
And then in 2001, I was trying to get back in. Active duty wouldn't have me, but the reserves took me, and I got in 1 month after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
I ended up being a C-130s, and I did electronic warfare for a couple years, and then I was a first sergeant. I think you guys, I don't know what you guys call them in the Navy, but Army calls them like tops.
Yeah.
They're like the personnel specialist.
It's like Command Master Chief.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then I got fired from that. I mean, I chose a different career path and became a flight engineer on C-130 thanks to my buddy Hank Palmer. So I finished out my career as a C-130 flight engineer.
No kidding. But that's a big difference from electronic warfare, right? I didn't realize you guys could go back and forth like that.
It was a huge difference. You go from not a lot of work stateside to pre-flight the aircraft, knowing everything about the aircraft that I could, in-flight emergencies. In fact, I think I had a record one time of 6 in-flight emergencies in 3 months. So it was a trip, but I loved it. I did. It was the best. I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, everybody always says that, you know, the two best places in the service are the place you're going and the place you're leaving. And it's 100% true. I never had a bad assignment, never had a bad gig, you know, some bad days, some bad moments, but it's given me everything I have now. So I really can't complain about it. You know, my daughter's in right now. She's a crew chief on F-16 with the Wild Weasels, as a matter of fact, just like I was.
So neat.
Down at Shaw Air Force Base, and you know, it's given us everything. So I'm not going to complain about it. You know.
Yeah. Well, listen, as you know, I was a surface warfare officer, so we do electronic warfare ourselves. So it's always pretty cool. In fact, I know what like a B scope is and all that sort of stuff, and I could talk about spiral scans and all that stuff all day. So
yeah, it's a very, very, very select few that know what the heck we're talking about, right?
Yeah, but it's good because then I get like real nitnoid on my sailboat with like where like antenna placement is and, you know, making sure SWR stuff. So it has applications outside. But let's talk about our brothers and sisters out there because you're involved with Save22. So tell us a little bit about Save22.
Safe22 last year had their 6th annual hike in May, and I wanted to bring that weekend up specifically because that weekend also ties into your show of racing for heroes, because Hayden Bowlesby, who is the Safe22 is kind of like his partner, supports him, sponsors him a little bit, got his very first win that same weekend in Mid-Ohio, in Ohio. And the Safe22 hike was in Ohio on the first weekend of May, which is Ohio's Veteran Suicide Awareness Weekend, with Safe22 as the sponsor and me as his mechanic. And it was just a fantastic, awesome weekend. We brought in another buddy of mine, Jonathan Hilderman, and he is now partners with Brandon Graham, and they're running 86 Motorsports. They're looking to do some FR stuff, some USF Junior stuff, F4 stuff. I mean, they're really. I'm really happy for Brandon because he's always wanted to be a team owner, and he's got it now. He's got a partner with Hayden's dad, and they're really going to do some awesome things. They're an all-veteran crew. Brandon wants to get me back out racing with those guys at some point this year if we can ever make the schedules work. And we're planning with the Safe22 March again, or Safe22 hike the first weekend in May. That's so difficult for me to say sometimes. And it'll be the 7th annual this year, you know, and we're really stoked. We're really happy. Hopefully the COVID stuff settles down and we can get more people out there and about, and, you know, maybe do a live show or have you come out and sing for us. How's that? You can come out and sing for us.
I'll sing the national anthem. How's that? So that's sort of my speed right there. But no, that's great, man. But no, wait, what car was he? He was like an F4. Does that sound right?
I'm sorry, say again.
What car was he driving?
Okay, the cars that they drive are, I think they're called Legere Chassis. They're powered by Honda, and they're all spec cars, right? So there's not really a whole lot that we can do with them. I can't remember the name of what they call. It's almost like everything is supposed to be the same, and you can't get away with a whole lot of creative ingenuity, cheating, like they say. And you know, if you're not bending the rules, you know, you're not really trying. But they're an open wheel car. They look like an Indy car. The rules that they use are from Indy and Formula One. So these kids are looking at some point to get into, you know, the bigger open wheel stuff, the Formula One stuff, the Indy car stuff, and we run our rules and our shows like they do. So it's a really incredible experience. VIR was one of my best times down there. We spent 5 days down there a couple years ago, and it was amazing. Yeah, it's an IndyCar deal, and I was always a full chassis, full body guy. And they called me up one day and said, "Hey, do you want to come out and help us?" I'm thinking, I don't know anything about Indy cars. And turns out, you know, I can be taught even at 50 years old. So
you and me both, brother. You and me both. But let's talk about Safe22. Like, what is the whole point of that, right? Like, that's, you know, really to help end the veteran suicide epidemic.
Safe22 is all about raising awareness of the veteran suicide epidemic that we have. And 22 a day is really just a number. And it's a number that's,
Hey, John, I think we lost you. Come in, Manila. Come in. Hey, John, wait. Wait, had him for a second. John, I think we're losing you.
I think it's a cell phone connection.
All right, let's try it again. We're gonna have John call back in, everyone. But what John was going to talk about is Safe22 really is out there making a difference. You know, they're allied with here Racing for Heroes, which is, you know, our top line is also helping end the veteran suicide epidemic. And with that, John is back on the line. So
I'm sorry, man. I'm calling out of my basement man cave, and sometimes we lose signal.
Oh, you know what? It's poor Jimmy Sprecher keeps texting me that they couldn't hear you, and I think it was like a setting issue. So that's what happens when you take a month hiatus. It's you get all the technical stuff. So see, I know all you electronic warfare guys out there can appreciate how comms.
Hey, I may or may not have a jammer involved, but anyway. Safe22 is all about raising awareness and being there for other individuals and getting the word out that, listen, there are guys around and gals that have gone through the same things that you're going through. We don't all have to be, combat wounded or lose an appendage or an amputee or double amputee or traumatic brain injury or have held our buddy in our arms when they pass, to have some kind of stress when we get out. And some of us don't really know how to get through it. I didn't know how to get through it. And, only by the grace of God and this guy named Jason Rutledge that I'm still here today. Him and Tom Endorf, really, they're the co-founders of Safe22. They got me through my dark time, man. I was 1 year out of retirement, or 1 year into my retirement, and I couldn't take it, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and the pressures and the arguing and the inability to control as much as I had thought that I controlled for 23 years. And Jason and Tom took me in and talked to me, got me through those hard times, and I swore from that moment on I would do all that I can to help out Safe22, and that's where we're at. We took some guys out to. We had one of the guys that I served with at Youngstown. He committed suicide the first weekend of December, and he left. I think it was five kids, mother, young kids, and we worked on their house a little bit. We got their bathroom running for them. The guys out there did a fantastic job. We got involved with not just Safe22, but we got involved with the Rubicon project. We got involved with the base out there. We have a bunch of guys that are involved with their local police and fire units that when they run into a veteran in distress, they can call us if they don't know how to handle it or they can't get it going. We can call the cops, see them.
And John, Safe22 is not just in Ohio, right? It's around the country, right?
We are around the country, but our base is here in Ohio. We have individuals just off the top of my head in that state up north, Michigan, Ohio, the Carolinas, Florida. I think we're getting ready. I think somebody just moved over to Texas. But we have a network, and I've always said that Safe22, we're not flashy like some of the big guys, but we get results. And the way that we get our results is we have a network of other individuals that help us, that we can call when we can't handle something or we don't know where to go with it. Specifically, like, Hogs Helping Heroes out of Carrollton. And
great organization.
Oh, they're awesome. And, Brandon and Angie do whatever they can to help people when they run into like home repair issues and they can't afford it, or they're going to get their gas shut off. And, they have to be down here in this area for them. But that's what we wanted, right? We wanted the local stuff. We wanted it to be when we walk around and people know who we are, they can come up and say, thank you for helping my uncle, or thank you for seeing, my brother when he was having a hard time, or, we want that kind of relationship with our local communities. And Ride with Valor out of Cleveland with Scott Rhoda is, they're doing fantastic things up in Cleveland with housing and donations. And, there's just so many. Dogs for Our Brave out of St. Louis, we're affiliated with them a little bit. They provide service dogs to veterans at no cost for the life of the dog. And that includes food and veterinary assistance and yearly upgrade training and, things like that. And organizations like that we get involved with when people come to us and say, hey, I'd really like to get a service dog and I don't know where to go or what to do. Hey, guess what? I know somebody, Well, man, I can't fix my garage door. My arm doesn't work like it used to. It's too heavy for me. And man, I'm on a fixed income of $1,500 a month. I don't know what to do. Hey, let me call up my buddy Brandon over at Helping Heroes. That's more of what we're in line with. And and I think we're going to get bigger. We're going to branch out. It's been us guys with this thing for 7 years now. It might be time to get a real business. I mean, not that we're not business. I don't want to sound like we're a podunk organization, but we're getting bigger, and a bunch of buddies trying to run a corporation or a nonprofit like that gets hard. And I think we're going to start looking, or they just found. I haven't talked to them in a couple of weeks with the holidays and everything, but I think we just got a new board of directors put together, and there's big things coming in 22. So look for us, safe22.vet, all over the internet. The radio show that I do, Johnny Mo Media presents Straight Talk Podcast. is kind of like a tribute to the Safe22 guys.
100%.
And I always mention them and bring them out, and I bring guys in that they've helped, and I get guys over that that need help, and I share stories of inspiration and recovery, and I'm just having a blast right now, Brad. I really, really am.
Awesome. All right, brother. Hey, listen, I got to let you go because we have our second guest online, but Johnny, we'll catch up on the phone a little later on. Okay.
All right, Brett. Thanks for the opportunity, buddy.
Thanks, my man. All right. Talk to you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was John Moser, Safe22, and Johnny Mo Media. If you want to follow his podcast, great human being, Air Force veteran. And that's a good lead in for our next guest, Joe Adams, out of North Carolina. He is also an Air Force veteran, served as a firefighter on the flight line up in Elmendorf Air Force Base. We had previously put out that his son's name was Jack. It's actually Daniel. I apologize to Daniel, although Jack's not a bad nickname. But anyway, Joe, I'm glad to hear you laughing, so I'm glad you're on the line. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I'm assuming you guys don't have the snowfall we have.
We do not. It's definitely colder than usual, but we don't have the snow flying like up in our states to the north.
Yeah, I think we had like at least 6 inches, and that's a conservative number this morning. And I dug out my neighbors for like an hour and a half. So I like to snow blow. So it's good stuff. And so tell us about being in the Air Force. I mean, I in the Navy, everyone's a firefighter on the ships, but in the Air Force, it's a specialty.
Yeah, the Air Force, it was a great experience. So we went down to San Angelo, Texas, the Goodfellow Air Force Base for our tech school, and pretty much every branch except for the Navy, because you guys have your own gig, all gets trained and certified out of Goodfellow Air Force Base. So it's a great experience to cross train with Marines and Army and Coast Guard, and we had pretty much everybody down there. Civilians came down there to train and actually be instructors also. So, and then
I learned something
you get
new.
trained as also you're flight line, and you're also a civilian firefighter on the base to put out structure fires and stuff like that. So it was a great experience.
Yeah. Did you actually have any real aircraft fires that you had to deal with during your time?
So we did. We had a couple F-15s up in Elmendorf, nothing major. So right before I got to Elmendorf, they had one of the big E-3 AWACS crashes that sucked in some birds and unfortunately killed quite a few people. But most of what we had were magnesium brake fires on the C-130s, F-15s, stuff of that nature. And then we were EMTs, so we would deal with everything on the base. Also for any emergency issues, fires, structure fires, car crashes, everything like that. We had to go out on the base and deal with that also.
Yeah, and if you know anything about like magnesium fires or things like that, I mean, it's like no joke. I mean, that does not just go out on its own.
No, you gotta use dry chem for magnesium fires. You can't put water on it, or you're just gonna magnify it.
Yeah, no. Well, I've seen pictures of aircraft fires. Thankfully, I've been in a couple of ship fires that were fairly serious, but those are like all like Bravo fires with like fuels and stuff like that. Little different, scary nonetheless, because of course in the Navy, at least, every gallon of water you use to put out the fire, you got to get off the ship at some point. Because eventually you put enough water on it, the ship will sink. Fire goes out, right. But the ship will sink, so that doesn't help. But yeah, that's cool. So now you didn't become a firefighter when you got out, though, right? You did something else.
So I was a volunteer firefighter for a small town in Illinois, and got into the telecommunications industry, and from there I was with Dish Network and DirecTV, and worked up the corporate chain. And then just the last few years, I started a company with some partners called Trix Utility Services, and we specialize in underground utility construction.
Now, is that everything from like high power lines to fiber?
Yeah, we specialize in fiber, doing backbone plants, but we also, are not afraid to get into electrical, gas, water, whatever our customers need us to do.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Because I think, earlier, I think you and I had talked about fiber, because I'm actually always impressed with it, because I don't know if you know this, the USS Coal when it was attacked by Al Qaeda operatives in Yemen. That was one of the first ships with the fiber optic backbone for the land system. And, because of course, fiber works faster and it can carry more information than copper. But the fiber optics actually shattered, because they are delicate, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just little small pieces of glass.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think that actually like made the Navy go back to copper and stop doing the
No kidding.
yeah. It's because no one had anticipated that amount of shock damage would have such a wide-ranging effect. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that you don't realize that this stuff really matters in the real world. But you don't have much shock problems,
Fiber
right?
is definitely delicate.
Yeah, but because if you break a fiber optic line, it's not an easy fix. It's not like soldering a copper line back together.
No, not at all. You've got to have the specialty tools and specialty technicians to do it. So
yeah, Roger
just
that.
having someone like that on a ship is definitely a waste of space.
Yeah, 100%. So, hey, tell us about racing though. You got into racing too, right? I mean, like that's actually one of the reasons we're on the call today. Yeah,
so definitely fortunate growing up in the Midwest, all kinds of forms of racing there, sprint cars, late models, modified, street stocks, and my dad and mom both, loved it passionately, and we would go every weekend. And finally, when I got out of the Air Force, got married and decided that I wanted to get into racing and race both dirt late models and dirt modified for.
I think we lost him. We're having a tough day here at WVOX with our comms. That's 2 in a row, Alex. All right, we're going to try this again. So hold on. Is he back on?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Joe. All right, we've been having, listen, I'm telling you, it's one of those ones like today we're having technical difficulty day between Facebook Live and everything here at the studio. I apologize. So your mom and dad got you racing and you got into it when you got out. That's where we kind of left it.
Yeah, so 2003, I got into racing dirt late models, dirt modified. Drove for a great guy named Bill Holmes out of Illinois for several years, and then went back out on my own again. And finally, 2010, got more involved in the corporate world and got out of it. But unfortunately and fortunately, my 16-year-old son Daniel was old enough to get the hook on racing. So
that's awesome.
In 2018, we decided to take the plunge back into racing, and I got him a dirt legend car from 316 Motorsports out of down here in Fayetteville with Willie Ridenauer.
Yeah. Army, actively serving Army warrant officer.
Absolutely. Willie's a great guy.
Yep.
And so with getting Daniel a legend, I wanted to know the ins and outs of him. So I bought myself a legend also. And
nice.
Then my 13-year-old son decided he wanted to get into racing. So we actually got him a junior sprint, which is kind of set up off of a 270 micro sprint with like a go-kart motor on it.
Oh,
so we've been doing that, and this last year, my 13-year-old son Dylan decided he's always been military, 82nd, and so he decided that he wanted to get involved in doing military camps and wanted to get out of racing, and we wanted to move Daniel up into a late model. So I hung up my helmet again to get my son into a dirt late model this year.
Well, that's great. Now, are you guys racing against Adam Benaway at all?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
good.
Adam's a big guy.
Adam is a great guy, but I love to hear when other people beat him, though. It's a love-hate with Adam. So I'm just kidding, Adam. I'm happy when you win too. So
all the videos I've seen, Adam is amazing on the road courses, but
he's great.
That dirt legend car. I mean, being racing late models and modified, the legend cars are by far much more difficult to drive than a dirt late model or a modified. My Daniel, when he got into his late model for the first time this year, he came off the track and he said, "Boy, these things drive like a Cadillac compared to a legend car." So
that's amazing.
Anybody who can be competitive in a legend, you got to give them props because they are hard to drive.
No, and I know Adam just got into it last year, so I know he's making that transition. So I'm sure he'll do awesome. I mean, as you know, he was an SECA champion for a little while, and Counter Cape was like the dark horse candidate, came out of nowhere, and did really well. So he's just a great driver.
He is. He's a great driver and a good friend and competitor in the pit to talk to and gain information from.
Gotcha. And we're getting into our last minute here. How about a little plug for your sponsors and your company?
Yeah, so we have some great sponsors. RLM Enterprises, Bob Mitchell, he's out of Cherry, Illinois. Gray Bar is with Ben Allen. They do electrical and fiber equipment material for all the big operations. Justin L. Langdon, electrical contractor. He's out of Dunn, North Carolina. The Restore, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I said, oh, yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So he ran a Legend and just got too busy and decided to support. The Restore Warehouse, they just came on this year. That's a great organization. If you check them out online, they're out of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Amsoil Racing Products with Kevin Alexander out of Claremore, Oklahoma. The Pentagon Insurance Group, they're out of Matthews, North Carolina. Evolution Inc. Graphics and Design, that's actually my son Daniel's little business. He does designs for iRacing cars online. We've got Tricks Utility Services, obviously my company.
Gotcha.
And then even though we don't officially have Racing for Heroes as a sponsor, we've always carried them on the car the last 2 years.
And you're going to see Mike today, I think, right? If he's not down there already.
We're going to see Mike tomorrow morning. So, yeah, he's going to be up at the cars event. Gotcha. He wasn't originally scheduled to come here today, but it just made more sense to meet up at the cars.
And Joe, Joe, thank you for being. I got to let you go because we're just going into the song. So thank you again. Looking forward to meeting you in person. And Racing for Heroes fans, we'll be back next week. Glad to be back in year 2022. Take care, everyone, and be safe out there.